Hello and welcome to Study with Sudhir. My name is Tejaswini Sudhir. Just one day to go for the first board exam of ICSE 2025. Your first exam is on the 18th of Feb and it is English language. On the Study with Sudhir YouTube channel, we have all the videos of essay, letter writing, notice and email. All the parts of grammar are all covered on our channel. We also have our tests, which you can take, the test videos on phrasal verbs, prepositions, join the sentences. And today, on the SWS Classroom Chat, we have got for you the best possible strategy video, and we have a very, very special guest with us, your very own Sudhir sir. Appa,
Okay.
welcome to your channel.
Welcome to my own channel. This seems like a hostile takeover. Okay. Shoot.
So, we'll go with the basics. जब ये स्टूडेंट्स कल एग्जाम देने जाएंगे, what should be the order of questions? ऐसा है कि you have to do essay first and then letter writing. Is there any such order or anything can be followed?
Anything can be followed. I don't, in fact, I strongly advise them not really to follow the order because what happens, and I tell this to you because of a very practical reason, because you see the essay and you start writing whichever essay, narrative, argumentative, descriptive, picture composition, whatever, you start writing. It's quite possible that after you have finished writing, later on, towards the second half of the paper answering time, you may come up with an idea. अरे ये idea भी मैं essay में डालता तो essay और better हो सकता था. See, essay is really the main part of your English language examination. So give it maximum thinking time. So even while you are solving the other questions, your mind, back end पे जैसे कंप्यूटर का चलता रहता है, it will keep working. Okay, I can use this element. So my advice is to attempt, answer, write the essay at the very end. So reading time 15 minutes may please read the passage. Use the reading time to read the passage instead of reading it in between what is supposed to be your writing time. So comprehension, unseen passage pehle pad lo 15 minute mein, so that it is fresh in your mind, and then you can immediately start with answering the question. So my advice is to start with the comprehension, and then you move to the grammar, which will not take much time. Then you move to notice and email, letter writing, and finally the essay. However, ensure that you don't juggle around with the question order within the question itself. For example, aisa mat karo ki you write notice and then you attempt something else and then you write the email. Aisa mat karna. Similarly, in grammar, go in the same order as it has been written in the question paper. Don't change it. Don't confuse the examiner. If you confuse the examiner, it is only going to hurt your own chances, your own marks.
From there, we come to how one should manage the time. You have your exam starts at 11 a.m. It's a 2-hour paper. How do you manage the time? How much of time should I spend on the essay? How much of time should I spend on the letter? Is that something I should be looking at consciously?
Yes, I think so, because essays, when you attempt first, there's a tendency among students to spend too much time on the essays, as a result of which they mess up with by the time they come to the comprehension or the grammar part. My advice is to devote 25 minutes to the comprehension unseen passage, including summary. 15 minutes for grammar should be more than enough, given the fact there are multiple choice questions. Notice and email 20 minutes, 10 minutes each, let's say. Letter writing 20 minutes. Essay, definitely devote 30 minutes to essay, leaving 10 minutes for revision, which can be a buffer time. I mean, by chance, essay ka 30 minutes ke bajaye, you may take 33 minutes. So at least you have a buffer and some kind of revision time, during which you should look at your grammar part again to ensure that you have not made any silly mistakes in a hurry. So this should be roughly your time management strategy.
And do you think the 15 minutes of reading time should be used for actually thinking about what you will be writing in the essay? Or is it better utilized if I am reading the unseen passage instead?
See, I would think that most of our students would go with a very clear plan A and plan B. So for instance, if my plan A is to write a narrative essay and plan B is to write, let's say, a picture composition. So I would obviously straight away say, okay, this is the narrative topic. I'm comfortable with it. And your mind starts thinking about what all the different points that will be written in that. By chance, the narrative essay topic is a little tricky. It's not in your comfort zone. Move to what is your plan B. It could be argumentative, it could be descriptive, it could be picture composition, it could be original essay, whatever be your plan B. Look at that, and whichever topic you feel you are more comfortable with writing, where you think you have enough meat, enough material to write, go for that and keep thinking. Then you move to the comprehension passage. The same goes even for the letter, formal letter, informal letter. Just take a look at it and let your back end mind work on it. Then look at the comprehension passage, read it thoroughly. So 10 out of 15 minutes you should devote on the unseen passage. Grammar, if you have time, you can start looking at it so that it just saves you a few seconds, a few minutes later on in the writing time.
Okay, now I think let's go into the specifics of exactly what to do in each of these sections. I think let's start with letter writing, and I know that you will be able to give an entire revision on what is the format, what is to be followed, what are the do's and don'ts. Personally, I think I wrote a formal letter in the exam. Should we go by what we have practiced more? Is it, would you say it's better to write a formal instead of an informal letter? What are your thoughts?
Uh, yes, I mean, you should always have a very clear strategy whether you want to attempt a formal letter or an informal letter, because the style of writing differs a lot. In informal letter, there has to be a sense of warmth, a sense of friendship, a sense of love and affection that has to come through in the informal letter. Formal letter is extremely, as the word conveys, formal. The person you are writing to, the municipal commissioner or the health commissioner or the chief minister or the mayor of the city, or let's say the principal, who you may be a little more familiar with, is in a position of authority. So your letter has to be, in that sense, an extremely official sounding letter. So what are the things that you need to bear in mind? There are videos on letter writing which you have done on this channel, so please feel free to look at those videos. But to just do a quick recap, there is no need for a signature in the formal letter. There is no need for a subject in the ICSE format. Please remember this. This is not CBSE format. ICSE format, there is no need for a subject to be written in the formal letter. The pin code is necessary as per the ICSE format. In things like yours faithfully, F of faithfully has to be in lowercase. Y of yours has to be in uppercase. There should not be any apostrophe S in yours. These are the most common mistakes students make and lose marks as far as these kind of grammatical, punctuation or spelling mistakes are concerned. You write dear sir or dear ma'am, you should not write respected sir. This is again a very common mistake. The spelling of February, again, common spelling mistake. The formal letter needs your full name. The informal letter needs only your first name. There is no word limit in letters, but approximately 3 to 4 paragraphs is ideal as far as letter writing is concerned. Don't write very complicated address, door number 212-3 by 220, near supermarket, near temple, near masjid. Don't write such complicated address. Keep it simple, maximum 3 lines at best. You could leave a 1-line gap, especially if your handwriting is very big, so that it doesn't look a very cluttered piece of letter, and that's only for purpose of clarity. So these are the few things that you need to bear in mind so that you don't make the kind of mistakes your seniors made.
Thank you so much. I think that was very elaborate. Going on to grammar, a lot of students are quite paranoid about whether they'll get the questions right, because it's like if you get it right, you get your direct marks. It's not so much about creativity as compared to the other parts of the English language paper. You have transformation of sentences, your prepositions. So specifically, how should a student prepare with just one day to go?
Well, in both join the sentences and transformation of sentences, you have MCQs. So in that sense, that makes your job easier. That also makes it a little tricky, because at least 2 of the 4 options would be a little close, and that would confuse you. So ensure that even if you say that, okay, option C is the right one, please look at option A, B, and D. Use the elimination method, because A, B, and D, at least one of them could be a distractor. So ensure that you have good reasons to eliminate the 3 wrong options. Also, in things like active to passive, direct to indirect, please do the reverse also, just to cross check that what I have done from active to passive, when I'm doing it from passive to active, I get the same original sentence. So these kind of revision methods of some sort would help you to ensure that you're getting the right one. Write full sentences, preferably in both synthesis and transformation. Prepositions, you could write just the fill in the blank. I say this for synthesis because I know it for a fact that there are many students in a hurry because of anxiety, because it's your first exam. they end up uh, writing, they mean to write, choose option B, but in a hurry they would write option A, and that could be a blunder. So if you have at least written the full correct answer, a sympathetic examiner will say that, okay, the student actually meant option B, but he has written option A, so let me give him or her the mark. So in order to avoid, and it will take you what, another 8 to 10 seconds max. Uh, as far as tenses are concerned, where the maximum mistakes seem to happen, don't just go by the first word, read the entire passage and see what is the sense in which the passage has been communicated. Is it in the past tense? Is it talking about something which has happened in the past or the future, or it is in the present, it is ongoing in the present, so that you get an idea about the tense in which the passage has been said, and then start filling in the blanks. In prepositions, again, please understand what is being conveyed in the sentence. I expect more fixed prepositions than phrasal verbs, really. So that should not really be so much of a problem. Lots of test videos on our YouTube channel. Please solve all of them, which have been done over the last 4 years on our channel. Go through each one of them. They have explanations. So that will be a great practice ahead of your examination. And last, please write the question number clearly, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4 clearly. If you make careless mistakes of this sort, you will have only yourself to blame, और उसके बाद वो regret करने में करके फायदा नहीं होता. And then you keep asking, will the examiner give me mark even though I have marked A instead of B? A और B अलग हैं. Obviously, they are different alphabets. Examiner may or may not be very sympathetic. Yeah.
Absolutely. And in fact, I've always seen that very similar questions to what we have done in our grammar tests on our YouTube channel, not just of the ones which we have done this year, but in fact, the ones which we have published right from 4 years ago till this year, all those videos have to be seen. ऐसा नहीं है कि 4 साल पहले का video हो तो that is no longer relevant. The same grammar is what is being followed even 4 years before. In fact, very similar papers, and a lot of questions come from what the questions you have set in these videos. So I would really urge that each one of you watch all those videos, because that will possibly be the best revision you can do before your exam.
There is an English language and grammar playlist and a
Yes,
grammar hammer series, which is this year's 2025 series.
yes.
Both these playlists are put on the home page, so you don't have to look around anywhere else. Just scroll down 2 rows on the home page and you will find the entire playlist. That's all you need to do. So I made it very easy for all the students to access these grammar test videos.
You've made it extremely easy, and I really hope that all of you make full use of it. Going on to the next part, which is the unseen passages, which is basically your reading comprehension. As Appa said, read your comprehension in the 15 minutes of reading time. And I think this is what we used to do, right, Appa? Even when I wrote my board exam, we had the rough grid, which I used to create. And then I used to do a fair grid.
Yeah.
And then I used to always ensure that I drew it with pencil, so that even so that it doesn't look messy, because anyway under pen mein likhna tha. What else would you suggest? Because I think word meanings during in the reading comprehension was something I myself was quite paranoid about, because agar koi word ka meaning pata na ho to kya likhenge.
One thing, please always, since you will be making these 2 grids, ensure that you write the rough grid and the final grid very clearly in capital letters on top. Word meanings, in case you don't know, related to the passage, and try to make an intelligent guess. But I would assume you will not get very tough kind of words, but there would be words which could be used in 2 senses. There are certain words which you could, like for instance, let's say off the top of my head, a word like, let's say, hide, Hide. Now hide obviously means chupna when you're using it as a verb. The hide of an animal would mean reference to the skin and stuff like that. So it could be used in 2 different kind of meaning. Nail, for instance. Now nail could mean a keel. Nail could mean this, the nail on the finger. It could mean nailing it when it is used as a verb. So you need to know these kind of small details when something is used as a noun, something is used as a verb, something is used as an adjective. These are the small things that you need to focus on. As far as the Prezi writing is concerned, just answer the question first and then try to fit it within 50 words and keep it to 50, trying not to kind of go to a 47 or a 52. That's something which you need to be mindful of.
Yes, and I think that's where the rough grade really helps, because ऐसा नहीं है कि you know exactly कि 50 words exactly होंगे. So if you do a rough grade, you will get an idea, you know, where you can do the edits, and in the fair grade, you will be almost probably hit a exact 50. Going on to notice an email. Notice an email, incidentally, was introduced in our board exam. It wasn't there in 2018. It was introduced in 2019. So, what are the tips you would give as far as notice an email is concerned?
There's a very, very detailed video I've done on notice and email. It's there right now on the channel. Please go through it. It's the most comprehensive video that you will get on notice and email writing. Quick recap, no flowery language. Take care of the from to when you're talking about the timings. In email, if the questions only if the question says that you are so and so, take that identity. Otherwise, you can write your own name. The box for notice and email is not necessary, but you could draw a note. I mean, a box, especially for notice. It will just make it, you know, more neat looking. The email for some position of authority like the principal or the police commissioner has to sound very official sounding. Please see my video on that. The event date, very common mistake. If your date of examination is 18th, your event could be on the 28th of February. Please do not write 29th of February or 30th of February or 31st of February. The examiner will keep looking at the calendar and say no such date exists. Go to 1st of March, 2nd of March, till the 4th of March or 5th of March. So 10 to 14 days from the date of exam. So your event date has to be either 28th or 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th March. That has to be the range. If there is a date of submission of entries, you could keep that for 25th or 26th. That is 2 to 3 days before the event is to take place. The tone has to be formal. Notice you have to write it in third person. Creative title, I've given about 15 odd creative titles also of the normal ones which come, because that counts for 1 mark. So that's something again which students have to worry about. Alliteration always, I think, is a great strategy. I had taken an example of, for instance, you know, a trip to Kerala, for instance. So you could make something like Kerala Connect. Now, Connect is said with a C, but it is pronounced with a K. So Kerala Connect, alliteration works. So alliteration is always a great way as far as a creative title is concerned. For example, hockey tournament, you could have something like dribble dazzle. Dribble is something which is a common strategy employed in, there used to be a player called Muhammad Shahid who was known as the king of dribble. Music competition, you could talk about melody maker, again your alliteration, using alliteration. So these kind of things. Chess tournament, checkmate contest, again you are using alliteration. So just look at doing something like, not alliteration exactly, but you're starting both alphabets with C. So if you do that kind of thing, it just makes your creative title look creative.
And probably the examiner will have a smile on his face when he's reading such titles. Sounds good.
Yes, for sure.
So coming to essays, of course, we have had 2 books that you have written on essays, and that I mean, people who have already bought the book, very lucky, because you can just go through the book several times, and I think that will really help you do very well in essay. What would you suggest? What are the things that one must keep in mind, especially with respect to the word limit? Because very often one tends to either overshoot or go much less as compared to the word limit. So what would you say?
Yeah, a couple of things. Word limit, they shoot more when you're writing an original story or a narrative essay. लिखते रहते हैं, लिखते रहते हैं. Argumentative essay में, if you run out of arguments, you fall short of the word limit. Both are not acceptable. In capital letters, not acceptable. So the word limit is very important. You need to stick to the word limit. Write your essays and even letters as a 15-year-old. Do not assume the identity of a 30 or a 35-year-old. You need to be yourself as a 15-year-old. The argumentative essay cannot, I repeat, cannot take both sides. You take one stand and stick to that. Do not say, मैं लास्ट में एक पैराग्राफ दूसरा साइड का भी लिख देता हूँ. नहीं लिखोगे तो मार्क्स कटेंगे. Don't do that. In essays, yeah.
Do not take a
Sorry.
stand as well. Do not take a neutral stand as well at the end.
Yeah. In essays, especially narrative essay or original essay, do not try to jump too many tenses. You know, don't make it hodgepodge as far as tenses is concerned. Title is not compulsory, but you should write it, especially when it comes to an original essay. But even if you write give a title in a narrative or a descriptive, marks nahi katenge, but it's not really necessary except in original story. In argumentative, state your position right at the beginning and kind of repeat it in different words at the ending also. What are the kind of topics that could come now? See, topics generally come related to your age, so it could be related to education, it could be related to the kind of education, physical literacy, financial literacy. It could be related to now, a current topic of the use of artificial AI, artificial intelligence, etc. The fact that social media has taken over as a storm, so something related to the use of social media, responsible use of social media, body shaming as an extremely negative trend. You could be asked on general civic issues that could come, in fact, much more informal letters. There could be something vaguely related to health, touching about it, but not a very hardcore health issue, relating to education of the girl child, dropout rates, etc. Technology. So I mean, these are some of the kind of topics that come to mind which could be asked. Advertising, these are some of the topics which have generally been a favorite as far as the ICSE Council is concerned. All I would say is that keep your essays very positive. Focus on aspects like friendship, positivity, gratitude, empathy, support. These are things, do not bring in very morbid elements like revenge or betrayal. I mean, don't get into too many negative tones, is I would say. Keep it positive. It just kind of, I think that's the kind of spirit the ICSE Council really likes. In narrative, also prepare. I mean, you could get a question like, this is what happened, but sometimes you may not get that. It will say, narrate an incident which left you very sad or left you felt very broken. So then you have to think of it from scratch. So, but prepare these kind of topics also, so that you do not, spend time thinking of a plot there in the examination hall. Last couple of years, they also been giving things like, imagine that you are something like that. So you need to put yourself that and imagine that something like this actually happened. So within the narrative space, they have also been giving this imagine kind of thing. Also try not to cut words in a very untidy kind of manner. I mean, keep it neat. I mean, this is, the answer script is your communication with the examiner. So, don't give an untidy piece of answer script. Give an answer script that the examiner feels happy to correct, So, if he or she corrects it in a more positive and happy frame of mind, the chances of you getting better marks are that much more. I would say last minute, please practice writing so that you don't have a writer's block. So that your brain is a well-oiled machinery when it comes to essay writing. So practice writing an essay, practice writing a letter, practice the notice email, know the format. So do all that, and of course also practice grammar and just look at a couple of comprehension passages. Maybe you could borrow a few pre-board papers from any of your friends. That would help. It just just getting used to the drill on the day before the exam.
Absolutely. In fact, while you were talking about essay, I remembered an incident during my board exam when there was a topic which was very related to one of the chapters in when I had treasure trove. And in the original essay, someone ended up writing the story of one of the chapters in treasure trove, and
About
I think she
Blenheim.
lost.
About Blenheim.
Oh, right, yes. So,
The
and she
grandparents.
ended up losing a lot of marks. So that's something you must keep in mind, that original story
Yeah.
होना चाहिए. Even if it's not part of your chapters, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि कहीं तो ये पढ़ा है.
Yeah. Never take anything from any of the chapters which are part of your treasure chest. Don't do that. It's an absolute no-no. It shows a complete lack of originality and creativity. So please don't do
Absolutely.
that.
Also, I feel last minute, even one day before the exam, you should not be trying to look at ChatGPT to give you topics or give you points for each topic, because that will really, as Appa said, writer's block, and it will kill your creativity. Even one day before, if you're not able to think, it will not help you really write in the exam tomorrow.
Just think of what you do in a day. You travel by the school bus, or you come back by any other mode of transport. What are the sights and sounds that you see around you? What happens in your thing? You will get lots of elements from the kind of life that you lead on a day-to-day basis. Use those elements, write as yourself. Trust me, that is what will get you marks. So long as you don't make any grammatical mistakes, so long as you do not make any spelling mistakes, so that you are so long as you are careful with punctuation. In तीन चीजों का ध्यान रखो. Trust me, it is possible to score very high marks in essays writing as well.
In fact, I think when I wrote my board exam, I chose a descriptive essay. And after, though Appa had told me that प्रिफरेबली डू नॉट डू डिस्क्रिप्टिव, मैंने डिस्क्रिप्टिव ऐसे चूज किया था एंड शायद मुझे नहीं करना चाहिए था. अगर मैं इफ आई हैड टेकन एन आर्गुमेंटेटिव ऐसे, probably I feel personally that taking an argumentative essay is much easier because you have direct few points which you're able to jot down and create an essay out of it. I think it's a much easier approach and more easier to score in an argumentative essay as compared to what I did in a descriptive essay.
So go
that's
with the
something.
plan A and plan B and stick to that. Don't try to be experimental like Teju did.
Yes.
Have a clear mind and go with that.
Absolutely. And I think that's all from our side. We have gone through the entire English language paper. What are the things you should keep in mind? Now, what you need to do is actually, as Appa said, practice your essay, letter writing, notice an email, watch all our grammar videos. In fact, even watch the videos which Appa has made on compositions, on essays, because that will really give you an idea on how you could start your essay, what type of elements you should think of while you're writing your essay. And I think that will be very, very useful to you. From Team SWS, from both me and Appa, wishing you all the very best. And we are very sure that all of you are going to do really well in your exam. And it's your first exam. Do not be tense and bindas. Go to the exam, and you will certainly
Yeah.
do well.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
this is the starters. So this is the
Yes.
first exam. The exams are starting, and then it will go on like a breeze. So not worry. There is a lot coming up here on SWS. There is a lot more coming up here on SWS for ICSE Class 10. So stay tuned and stay subscribed.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.